AI is no longer just a tool, it is becoming a decision maker. Recently, discussions around the so-called Mythos model have triggered real concern inside the financial industry. Not because AI is new, but because this generation of AI can act, decide, and execute at a scale humans cannot control. With my background in network systems and cross-border business, I want to break this down from a strategic perspective. In this video, you'll understand why finance is nervous, what the real risks are, and how this changes the future of decision-making in global markets. Mythos model, innovation or systemic risk. This presentation addresses a fundamental question. Is the Mythos model the next step in financial innovation, or the starting point of systemic risk? Over the past decade, AI in finance has primarily functioned as a decision support tool. It has been used in risk modeling, trading recommendations, and report generation. However, we are now entering a fundamentally different phase. AI is no longer just supporting decisions, it is making and executing them. The Mythos model represents not a single system, but a class of next-generation AI architectures. These systems combine autonomous reasoning, real-time execution, and direct integration into financial infrastructure. This creates a structural shift. Financial markets are beginning to include non-human decision-makers. For banks and regulators, the concern is not simply that AI is becoming more powerful. The deeper issue is that control is shifting away from human oversight. This presentation will focus on three key questions. What is the Mythos model? Why is the financial sector increasingly concerned? And what does this mean for the future of competition and governance in global markets? The Mythos model can be understood as an advanced form of agentic AI applied to financial systems. It has three defining characteristics. First, autonomous reasoning. Unlike traditional AI systems that rely on explicit human prompts, Mythos can independently analyze complex scenarios and generate strategic decisions. It moves from reactive computation to proactive judgment. Second, direct execution capability. Through API integration, Mythos can connect directly to trading platforms, banking systems, and financial infrastructure. This allows it to execute decisions instantly, eliminating the delay between analysis and action. Third, deep system integration. Mythos is not an external tool, it is embedded within financial systems. It operates as an active market participant rather than a passive advisor. This marks a critical transition. AI is no longer an analyst, it is a trader. As a result, financial systems are evolving from human-led environments with AI assistance to AI-driven environments with limited human oversight. This is why Mythos should be understood not as a tool, but as a systemic actor. The concerns within the financial sector can be summarized in three dimensions: speed, scale, and opacity. First, speed. AI systems can process information and execute trades at a pace far beyond human monitoring capabilities. By the time a human identifies a market anomaly, multiple layers of transactions may have already occurred. Second, scale. A single AI model can simultaneously influence multiple asset classes, including equities, bonds, and foreign exchange. When similar models operate across institutions, their decisions can synchronize, amplifying market movements. Third, opacity. Most advanced AI systems operate as black boxes. Their internal decision-making processes are not easily interpretable in real time. When unexpected market behavior occurs, regulators cannot quickly identify the root cause. This leads to a critical issue. The problem is not that AI makes errors, but that we cannot reliably detect when it does. In financial systems, uncertainty at this level is itself a form of systemic risk. The first core risk is algorithmic amplification. AI models are designed to identify patterns and optimize for performance. In financial markets, this often translates into reinforcing existing trends. When prices rise, AI systems may interpret this as momentum and increase exposure, further driving prices upward. Conversely, when prices fall, the same logic leads to rapid selling. This creates a feedback loop. As more AI-driven systems adopt similar strategies, their actions become correlated. Instead of independent decision-making, the market begins to behave as a synchronized system. This can result in extreme outcomes, such as flash crashes, where prices drop sharply within seconds before stabilizing. The key issue is not individual model behavior, but collective dynamics. When multiple systems reinforce each other, small signals can escalate into large-scale volatility. This transforms normal market fluctuations into systemic instability. The second core risk is autonomous capital allocation. Traditionally, capital allocation decisions involve human judgment, risk assessment, and governance structures. With Mythos-like systems, these decisions can be fully automated. AI systems optimize based on predefined objectives, typically focused on performance metrics such as return or efficiency. However, these objectives may not align with broader human considerations such as risk tolerance, ethical constraints, or long-term stability. This creates a phenomenon known as objective misalignment. Additionally, when multiple institutions deploy similar models, their allocation strategies may converge. This leads to synchronized errors, where capital flows into or out of assets simultaneously across the market. The result is systemic mispricing. Assets may become overvalued or undervalued, not due to fundamentals, but due to automated decision patterns. Another critical issue is the absence of human approval. Transactions occur at machine speed, and by the time oversight mechanisms detect anomalies, the capital has already moved. This reduces the effectiveness of traditional risk controls. The third core risk is AI to AI interaction. In a market dominated by autonomous agents, AI systems are not only interacting with human participants, but also with other AI systems. This creates complex interaction dynamics. One key phenomenon is emergent behavior. Outcomes arise that were not explicitly programmed by any single system. These behaviors result from the interaction of multiple agents operating under different strategies. Another concern is learned manipulation. AI systems may discover strategies such as spoofing or collusion-like behaviors through reinforcement learning, even if these behaviors were not intentionally designed. Finally, there is the loss of centralized control. As decision-making becomes distributed across multiple autonomous systems, no single authority has a complete view or control over the market. This transforms financial markets into decentralized autonomous ecosystems. In such environments, predictability decreases, and the ability to intervene effectively becomes limited. Regulators are beginning to recognize these risks and are shifting from passive observation to active engagement. Institutions such as the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of England are conducting research on AI-driven systemic risk. A key direction is the development of AI governance frameworks. These frameworks typically include multiple layers. First, human-in-the-loop requirements. Critical decisions must involve human validation, particularly in high-risk scenarios. Second, firm-level monitoring. Financial institutions are expected to implement internal controls to track AI behavior and performance. Third, external auditing. Independent audits ensure that AI systems comply with regulatory standards. Fourth, regulatory override mechanisms. Authorities must have the ability to intervene when systemic risks emerge. However, these frameworks are still in early stages. The pace of technological advancement is faster than regulatory adaptation. From a strategic perspective, the key issue is not whether to adopt AI, but how to govern it effectively. The competitive advantage is shifting. In the past, firms competed based on access to data. Today, the differentiator is decision architecture, the ability to design, control, and align AI-driven decisions with business objectives and risk frameworks. Organizations that fail to implement governance structures may achieve short-term performance gains, but face long-term instability. Conversely, firms that integrate AI with robust governance will be better positioned to scale safely. This represents a transition from technology competition to governance competition. The central question becomes, can you control your AI better than your competitors? The Mythos model represents a fundamental shift in the nature of financial systems. AI is no longer just a tool. It is becoming a systemic actor. The greatest risk is not the capability of AI itself, but the widening gap between what AI can do and what humans can govern. As this gap expands, control becomes fragmented and systemic risk increases. For financial institutions, regulators, and policymakers, the challenge is clear. Develop governance mechanisms that can match the speed and complexity of AI systems. Ultimately, the future of finance will not be determined by who builds the most powerful AI, but by who can govern it most effectively.